After getting totally destroyed by Ike, Basteo decides to become the new Demon Lord and take over the kingdom. He orders one of his minions to kill the current Demon Lord, which they do. Basteo's army, the Immortal Brigade, then starts slaughtering all the goblins and trolls to prevent any retaliation. He commands his slaves to eliminate anyone who resists his rule, and his army mercilessly kills even more. Basteo then invites Ike to join his forces, thinking Ike has no other choice. However, Bro really underestimates Ike's magical power. Ike calmly refuses, stating he will never be the Demon Lord. Basteo orders his soldiers to surround and kill Ike, but Ike uses his magic spells Raging Storm and Darklands to defeat them all. He ascends and finishes them off with his spell Death Rain. Ike suddenly gets close to Basteo, places his hand on Basteo's head, and uses the spell Hell Blast, finally killing him. An explosion erupts, destroying part of the arena, but then Basteo respawns and tells Ike that he and his army, the Immortal Brigade, cannot be killed. They sure are annoying. The army respawns and attacks Ike again. Ike retaliates with his strong magic, but Basteo claims that his army is capable of endless combat and that Ike will eventually run out of magic power. Suddenly, the same minion that killed the Demon Lord shoots Ike with an explosive arrow, damaging his magical shield. Basteo is impressed that Ike is still alive. Realizing he might run out of magic power, Ike decides to switch strategies, thinking that white magic works best against dark forces. Ike uses his white magic and finally kills all of Basteo's army for good. Sphero then arrives with reinforcements, capturing the goblin who was shooting arrows from a distance. The reinforcements also eliminate the rest of Basteo's army outside. Just as Basteo gets enraged, the Demon Lord, who he thought was dead, speaks from behind him. She tells him not to worry and offers him one last chance, a duel with Ike. If he wins, she will spare him. This infuriates Basteo because his ego cannot accept defeat by Ike. Basteo and Ike charge at each other, with Basteo hitting Ike and damaging some of his shield, boasting about his strength. However, Ike finally resorts to using his hidden white magic to kill Basteo. Sphero is genuinely confused because she didn't know Ike was capable of using white magic and wonders why the Demon Lord didn't show any reaction. Ike recalls a moment from his childhood when he saw a withering flower and asked his master, Romberg, if there was any magic that could fix it. His master explained that white magic comes from a pure, merciful heart and, since Ike has a human heart, he could learn it later. Ike then specialized in every other type of magic before finally learning white magic. Master Romberg told him to keep this ability a secret, as it could attract unwanted attention. Ike then tells Basteo that this is how he defeated his supposedly undead army and that he will show no mercy on his evil ass. He proceeds to kill Basteo once and for all. Sphero approaches Ike and congratulates him, saying that there won't be any more problems. However, the Demon Lord interrupts, noting that the 3rd Legion now lacks a general since Basteo is dead, and offers Ike the position. Ike's loyal assistant and soldiers rush over, hugging him and celebrating his victory and survival. The next day, Sphero argues with the Demon Lord, insisting that she cannot take Ike away since he is her subordinate. The Demon Lord counters, saying that since Sphero is her subordinate, Ike is as well. Sphero falls silent, and Ike appears from behind. Earlier, Sphero had argued with Ike, confused and frustrated because the Demon Lord knew everything yet did nothing about it, and let him do what he wangs. However, Ike tells the Demon Lord that he will stay with Sphero as he still has much to learn. Removing his mask, he asks for forgiveness and declares his ultimate goal, to make Ivalice as the first city where demons and humans coexist. He reveals that Sphero knew about this plan all along. The Demon Lord, impressed by his ambition, agrees to his vision. Ike is resting after the duel when his maid, Sati, comes over and asks if he's okay. He replies that with the town's soil, they can implement the Norfolk 4-course system. Sati looks confused, so he explains that it's a method allowing various crops to be grown in sequence, leading to an abundance of turnips. Sati gets really happy because she loves turnips. Ike explains the 4-course system to the townsfolk. Sati asks if this is the system he mentioned, and Ike says the town is currently growing wheat, but their method is inefficient due to long fallow periods. He explains that adopting the 4-course system would ensure that both demons and humans don't go hungry. Back at his office, Sati congratulates Ike on becoming vice president. Just then, his fat assistant, Jiran, rushes in, saying there's an emergency. He apologizes profusely for not addressing Ike by his title of vice president, ready to accept any punishment for the oversight. Ike asks Jiran about the big problem, but Jiran replies that he forgot. Ike suggests it might be about the Royal Alliance army, and Jiran confirms, explaining that they've started mobilizing and that the 2nd Legion, which was planning an attack on Aresta, was wiped out last night. Jiran mentions that the 2nd Legion was full of powerful demons with strong tempers, but they were easily defeated by the Royal Alliance. Ike comments that the Royal Alliance which humans formed has started to bear its fruit. He explains to Sati that the Royal Alliance was an ancient oath where nations promised to work together to fight the Demon Lord. When the Demon King's army grows stronger, and one country isn't enough to defeat it, the nations unite, forming the Royal Alliance. Jiran asks if there have been Royal Alliances formed before. Ike confirms confirms that it has happened 3 times, with humans successfully retaliating against the Demon Lord's army each time. Using his tactical brain, Ike concludes that they will attack Ivalice next because Aresta was an important place, and its proximity makes it a likely target. Ike explains that although humans outnumber demons, who are stronger individually, the humans will eventually defeat them. He says the demons will be forced to retreat to the Demon Lord's castle in Devorberg and will be unable to do anything. Ike realizes that his plans for humans and demons living together are coming to an end. Ike proposes that the way to win against the Royal Alliance is to use guns. He informs Sphero and Fiorentina. Fiorentina mentions that replicating the gun with alchemy is challenging, as it breaks every time she fires it. Sphero suggests simply destroying everyone as always, but Ike says that cleanup would be too difficult, so that's not an option. Fiorentina talks about making something small with metal and wood, but Sphero doubts it, saying that it won't be possible. Fiorentina then suggests using dwarves, and Sphero agrees, saying that they might be able to make these guns. Ike reflects on how humans used and exiled the dwarves, forcing them to work. He reveals that the Dwarven King is captured in the Isthmus Kingdom. Meanwhile, in the prison, the Dwarf King is thinking about his fellow dwarves when Lilith and Jiran arrive to take him out. The Dwarf King is confused about why the demons are helping him. Lilith uses a spell on him, knocking him out like a drunken man on the ground. Jiran, always a wuss, protests that a king shouldn't be treated this way. On their way, he keeps telling Lilith to stop, but she brushes him off, saying he smells. She then knocks out 2 more soldiers. Jiran threatens to snitch on her for getting involved in an unnecessary fight despite Lord Ike's instructions. However, Jiran accidentally knocks out a soldier himself, and Lilith uses this against him. Jiran, scared, apologies and begs Lilith not to snitch on him. When Lilith and Jiran get out of the basement with the Dwarf King, a lot of soldiers spot them and chase after them. Ike arrives to protect them. Lilith, the horny demon, asks for a reunion kiss from Ike after they secure the Dwarf King. Ike firmly states that the Dwarf King is a king and should be treated with respect. Jiran, shaking the Dwarf King to wake him up, apologizes as Ike admonishes him to show respect. The Dwarf King finally wakes up. Ike asks if he is fine, to which the Dwarf King responds, wondering why he was rescued. Ike gets straight to the point, asking him to make guns. The Dwarf King replies that while it's a simple yet complex task, he can make them easily. The Dwarf King initially refuses to help the demons, but Ike shares his vision of demons and humans living together in peace and shows him the city of Ivalice as proof. The Dwarf King is amazed but asks what's in it for him. Ike promises to convince the Demon Lord to reconstruct their home kingdom and reunite the dwarves. The Dwarf King is skeptical, saying it isn't that easy, but Ike reunites him with his fellow dwarves. Seeing his people again, the Dwarf King is moved and agrees to make guns for the demons. The dwarves are happy and motivated to help. Later, Ike goes to his library and finds Sati cleaning it. Sati admits she can't read but enjoys looking at the books. Ike promises to teach her to read when he has free time. Just then, Lilith barges in, jealous of Sati, thinking she's flirting with Ike. Meanwhile, the humans learn of the demon schemes and the kidnapping of the Dwarf King. However, they remain confident in their 12 battalions, united with 12,000 soldiers.